All right, guys, how you doing? It's Jeff here at Full Hookups. We're here in North Myrtle Beach at the beautiful Barefoot RV Resort, our place where we live, and our Riverstone here. It's a 42 FSKG. I'm here with a bunch of people. We got a brand new, groundbreaking product that we believe is going to change the industry. It's going to be standard in RVs. I'm here with Al and Gene from Easy RV Solutions, and we got Colby here from Bish's RV Mobile Service helping us out with the install. For the first time ever. It's the first time video, right?
It's first time video. First installation
video ever made.
As Jeff had mentioned in the intro, we are here today for the first installation video ever of our product, which is the RV Residential Flush. And the kit comes complete with everything you'll need, minus the drive gearing. So what the kit is, for those of you who aren't familiar with our product, it's basically a BlackTank bypass valve. A special valve engineered just for this one purpose. It's patented, it's the only product of its kind. First time ever. It's a very heavy duty constructed valve. It's basically a Y valve. It has one input and two outputs. One output will be plumbed directly to the BlackTank, as it always has been. The other output will bypass the BlackTank and be plumbed to your main pipe out. So your RV will still have the same basic sewer connection it always had. This bypass gets plumbed in and cut in via a sanitation T into that main line. So what this does, it allows you to bypass the BlackTank. So if you're in an RV park with a sewer connection, which most RV sites have today, this allows you to bypass the BlackTank altogether. Because let's face it, if you're at a campsite that has a sewer connection, when would you ever choose to collect and manage raw sewage? I don't think any of us would. So this now gives you the option, when you are at one of those sites with a sewer connection, to bypass the BlackTank altogether and flush straight through to the sewer, just like you would at home. And another convenience factor to our product that now allows you to use a residential style toilet. You can still use an RV style toilet if you so choose. If you do a lot of boondocking, you may want to keep that. It works fine with the bypass. You just have to fill the toilet 1/3 to halfway full. It flushes everything right down to the sewer. But for those who don't boondock often, why not go with a nice residential toilet? Allows you, gives you all the comfort, convenience at home. What comes with the kit? So we're going to talk about what we're doing here today. So Jeff has this beautiful Riverstone. We're going to use the motorized version. So we're going to use the motorized version. The kit comes with, again, the kit comes with everything you need, depending on the drive system. It has we're using the motorized version. So today, we're going to remove the knob, and this knob works via the handle. Handle allows you to actuate it by hand. So if this valve ends up in a location that you can reach it by hand, you can just use the handle that comes with it. You don't even need a drive system. Most cases, most applications, the valve will be in a location that you can't get to by hand. In that case, we have two ways that you can actuate the valve. One is a mechanical drive, which gives you, it's an extendable telescoping drive shaft that will utilize the handle. It'll mount to the drive shaft. The drive shaft allows you to get up to 8 feet away from the valve. And you use this cover plate. This would be on the sidewall of your underbelly. The drive shaft would come out, exit this plate, this cover plate. The plate can be rotated 180 degrees based on which side of the valve you end up putting your BlackTank in your bypass. And then you just simply use, the handle will mount to the drive shaft, and you just simply use the handle to actuate the valve remotely. Our luxury model is the motorized actuator. So to use the motorized actuator, we give you the drive gear that will install to the motor via the valve. Motor mounts via a motor mount plate, and then you use this switch cover, and we have a switch that will interface, and we'll show you that later in the video once we get to that point. We also have the perfect companion to the RV Residential Flush, which is called RV Snap Trap. So this allows you to take any conventional sewer hose and simply snap it in, hence the name, and instantly get a code level P-trap to your sewer hose. And we know historically people have done this on their own. I mean, here's an example here. Brother Jeff has this kind of sitting as a P-trap. So he's kind of doing that by default by allowing his hose to extend this way. But the beauty of this product is it's giving you, and we'll install this later as well, a code level P-trap, 100% of any sewer gas infiltration or sewer fly infiltration. And sewer flies, anybody who camps, our family, we thought they were fruit flies. We've been full-timing we're in our 7th year. And even in the wintertime, we would have what we thought were fruit flies. It would be 0 degrees out, and I would say to my wife, how do we have these fruit flies in the wintertime? Doesn't make sense. We thought it was a camping thing. We came to find out that it's really coming from the sewer. These flies are sewer flies. And what happens is they enter through the plumbing and they live in your gray and black tanks. And then they enter through, they make their way through when you flush the toilet, when you, certain moments, even though you have check valves in the RV, they still are able to get through. Everybody who camps has seen them. So anyway, this will 100% eliminate them. We're gonna install this later. We have to move Jeff's sewer supports here to allow room, provide room for this. So we're gonna show that later, the installation. Okay, so the RV Snap Trap has 3 modes of use. You know, we have these legs that snap into place. So you get the product, you can snap the legs on if you choose to use the legs. The legs are not necessary. You can put this in line without the legs, it works just fine. We provide the legs for those who choose to use them. The legs in up position, if you're going to install the Snap Trap up at the beginning of the run, it puts it at an elevation that is right at the height of most sewer supports, standard sewer supports. So you would put this at the front of the run if you so choose. Some people like to put it at the middle, some people like to put it at the end. If you're gonna put it in the middle or the end, you could either flip these up, flip the legs up, or just simply remove them. And then now this allows you to get the Snap Trap lower to the ground and put it in line. So it gives you some options on where you'd like to position it. So we're gonna discuss the RV Snap Trap construction. This is made of 100% virgin ABS. We could have used a cheaper plastic to save money, but we don't want this thing to fail. So we use virgin ABS plastic. It is a very high structural strength plastic. It is very UV resistant. We know these things are gonna be outside under UV attack most of its life. So this is a very rigid, thick construction. The frame of this thing, it's got a upper and lower thick structure frame support. So this is very, very rigid. It has finger holds. So when you're pulling this away, removing it off of your hose, you simply put your fingers into the finger pull to pull it out. Installation, very simple. We're gonna show that later. You simply push your hose into it. The thickness of the Snap Trap is about the thickest level our molder wanted to go. We don't like to do anything thin. So this is all very thick gauge plastic, very heavy piece, a lot of plastic in it for what it is.
Yeah, it's solid.
It's solid. Today we're going to install the motorized version, our luxury version option for valve actuation. So the motor is a nice heavy duty motor. So the motor works with the drive gear that we're going to install into the valve. It comes with a motor mount plate that will install to the valve. It also comes with a switch cover that will let you know it has the BlackTank and RV Residential Flush designations on it. So once you insert the switch, it will make clear which side of the valve you're on.
Where would that be mounted in the rig?
So this could be mounted basically wherever you'd like it to go. The motor comes with a 15-foot plug and play cord set. So you can go up to 15 feet away from the motor. You can mount this. Some people we've installed, they like it in their wet bay when there's room. Some people like it just on the side wall of their understorage. In this particular application, it would almost make sense that this would go right here.
Yeah.
But it could go anywhere. I mean, we could run that line up into your bathroom. This could be on your bathroom wall.
Yeah, we have. I mean, that's all metal in there.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's room, we could put it in there.
Could be.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the fittings you should be prepared to have ahead of time. And there's no exact science to this because until you get in and actually start to make your cuts and fit your pipe, there's no way to exactly say how many fittings and what fittings you're going to need. That said, you will absolutely want some, a length. They typically come in 5 or 10 foot lengths of ABS pipe. You can, now per the RVIA certification, ABS is the preferred material. And in the OE situations, they will always use, those applications will always, you'll always see ABS pipe. ABS pipe is your best bet, and the reason why ABS is what RVIA mandates is because ABS is less prone to cracking and drying over time. These rigs are going over road. It's like an earthquake every time you drive down the highway with a big heavy fifth wheel. So, you know, there is some vibratory shock loading. Now, in my opinion, personally, PVC, we've done some installations where, you know, in a pinch, we've used PVC fittings and some PVC pipe. 3-inch pipe is very big. Now, when you get to 1.5-inch pipe, which is what the gray tanks are, you know, it's easier to crack a 1.5-inch diameter pipe than it is a 3-inch pipe. So in my opinion, you know, you can use 3-inch PVC. Fittings and your pipe, it's available at Home Depot and Lowe's, so, you know, it's much more readily available. That said, as far as availability of the ABS pipe, there's a company named McMaster Carr. They carry all the fittings in the pipe, reasonably priced. They ship it right to your door. So that's probably, if you are determined to use ABS fittings, McMaster Carr is going to be the place to go. And you get it delivered right to your door. They're a great company. So we recommend using a chop saw to make your cuts to your pipe. You can use a Sawzall or a hand saw, but your chop saw is going to give you the best cut, and you really don't have to do anything to it secondary operation wise. After you cut it, it gives you a nice smooth gluable joint edge. When you cut it with a Sawzall or a hand saw, you're going to get a rougher cut, and you really have to file it or sand it smooth before you glue it, because those pieces can obstruct the glue and you can get possible leaks from it. That's a nice smooth cut, ready to glue. So now let's get into some of the fittings that are going to be required. One thing you will absolutely need is a sanitation tee. So this allows you to make the connection to your primary tube out. It gives you the radial entry point that is required to keep everything flowing. And there's also a 45, so this is the sweep tee. There's also a 45, so depending on your situation and how you're going to tie into the main tube, you can use the sweep or the 45. You also will need, and again, there's no exact science to determine exactly what fittings you're going to need until you get in to open everything up. Most projects, you know, installs that I've been a part of, I just go and buy more than what I know I'm going to need. So, you know, one thing you'll need is a 90-degree, what they call a long sweep, 90-degree elbow. And in sanitary plumbing, you cannot use the tight 90. You need to use the long sweep 90, such as this. You'll also want to buy some 45-degree standard elbows and also some street elbows. The street elbow is nice. It allows you to, if you're going to tie in more than one, you can go right to it without another piece of pipe. So the street elbow is very handy. You'll also need street elbows. These are out in the sun, so they've been expanding a little. Off of our valve, and we'll talk about the valve in another segment, but you're going to come off with two 45s off of our valve, which is a 120-degree Y valve. You're going to put a 45 and a 45 street, and that allows you geometrically to get in any direction you really need to get to. An amazing thing about plumbing, and when you're using these 45-degree and 22.5-degree elbows, you can you know, get unlimited. It's amazing how forgiving it is. And again, as we make mention to in our installation guide, you want to always dry fit everything first. You dry fit all your fittings. We're going to get into that in another segment where we actually dry fit the fittings and the plumbing off of the valve to the BlackTank. You're going to dry fit everything, make sure it fits, get everything positioned, mark all your fittings. Then you pull the whole assembly out and go piece by piece. You line it up, glue it. Each joint, you got a line on your fittings, a marker, and you know gives you a very high margin of success. Once you glue this pipe, whether you're using PVC or ABS, once you glue it, it actually melts it. So it's done. You got one shot. So you've heard the saying, measure twice, cut once. With this pipe, you have to. You want to make sure you're dry fitting, make multiple measurements, make sure you've got what you need and that it fits before you glue anything, because once you glue it, that's it, it's done. And especially with the valve, you glue your fittings into that valve and you rush. You know, you must take your time. If you rush it and you glue these things in prematurely, there's no going back. And once these fittings are ABS glued to the valve, it's done. It's that way forever.
What about the cost? Cost of this stuff?
The cost of the ABS, it's a little bit more than PVC. It's a higher premium material, more longevity, less prone to dry rotting and cracking. So you do pay a little bit more, but it's not anything, you know, astronomical.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about what you typically will have to do with toilet replacement. For this particular installation, we're going with a very upscale one-piece residential toilet. It has all the fancy features, the bidet, the heated seat, air dryer, all that great stuff. That said though, when you are, now the system does work with RV style toilets. You just have to fill the toilet 1/3 to halfway before you flush it. Works perfectly fine. But most people that we've worked with like to upgrade to a residential style toilet. So if you are going to upgrade to a residential style toilet, there's a couple things to consider that you'll have to prepare for. One, most importantly, is what we call the rough-in dimension. The rough-in dimension is a dimension from the mounting bolt of the toilet to your wall. Most residential toilets are going to be 12 inches. This RV toilet, this is a nice Dometic 320. It actually has a 12-inch rough-in. So we have 12 inches here. We're not going to have any issue with the toilet that this particular customer has purchased. It has a 12-inch rough-in. It'll work fine. There are 10-inch options, 10-inch options with residential toilets. On our website, we have some recommendations for some 10-inch and also some 12-inch toilets that we've tested and worked with. It saves you some time because you can, spend a lot of time trying to find a toilet that's going to fit. So we try to point you in the right direction. So once you've established the rough-in and what toilet's going to work, even if you want to go to a 12-inch, you can elongate the hole and then pack out what you're not using, put your toilet flange in. You can move to a 12-inch rough-in. Takes a little more work and effort. Might not be for the average DIYer, but it's really not that hard to do. As far as the plumbing goes, the water supply. Most RV style toilets are going to have your water supply right at the rear of the toilet mount. That will most often not work with a residential style toilet because the residential style toilet base is going to be much bigger of a footprint, and it typically goes back to the rear wall right over where the plumbing point of the water supply for the RV toilet. So that said, most of the time you're going to find PEX, which is easy to work with. We would get down below the floor, cut the PEX, use 2 shark bite 90-degree elbows, and we just jog it over, relocate the hole 3 or 4 inches to the right or to the left. We bring it up and use a shark bite push on water supply fitting. Not that difficult to do. But that's one of those things you're going to have to plan for, to get your another piece of PEX pipe if you have to relocate it so you have some pipe to work with, and then also your shark bite fittings, whether you need some 90s and the water supply. So you're going to find it probably 50-50 scenario between PEX, water supply to the toilet, and rubber flexible hose. So the PEX, in my opinion, is pretty simple, easy to work with. You're going to use shark bite fittings. They're very well proven. When you have the rubber hose, you're going to have to get a barb fitting and adapt it for your water supply fitting. So Home Depot and Lowe's, they have those fittings where it'll be a barb that pushes in and you use a clamp. Not that hard to work with, but it's just a little bit different. So be prepared to see either the rubber hose or the rigid PEX line. So for this particular installation, we've got a front kitchen, rear bed, mid bath floor plan. And we have the transition. So you've got your living space, which is the lower level, and then we transition up to the bathroom and the bedroom. Most of the time when we have a transition like this, whether it's in the front or in the back, it gives you about 2 feet of vertical height, which is it's ideal for what we will need. You can squeeze 22 inches, but 2 feet is what we're looking for when you're assessing whether or not a retrofit option is for you with the residential or the RV residential flush. 2 feet is the preferred height. So in this situation, we can gain access. The bathroom is right at the top of these stairs to the right. Behind this fireplace, these electric fireplaces, usually they're very simple to remove. We're going to be able to gain access from the combination of behind this fireplace area and inside the underbelly storage bay area. Between those two locations, we're going to gain access to further investigate where our bypass cut through is going to be routed. So in every installation, it becomes very obvious. The BlackTank line is very visible, and we're going to run a line, plumb a line right off of the valve. Again, we've got 1 in and 2 out. So 1 out is going to go to the BlackTank where it's already routed. We're going to cut a couple inches, leave a couple inches of pipe off the BlackTank so we can put a rubber Fernco fitting to our new line that we're going to cut off of the valve to the BlackTank. The difficulty, I'm not going to say difficulty, but the challenge is always the bypass line and finding the best clear passageway to run it off of the valve and get through the floor and into that main pipe out. Again, it's not terribly difficult, but it's not terribly easy either. So it takes a little bit of investigative work to determine the best path to go. But that 24 inches is the key, and that's what we wanted to discuss here.
All right, so let's take a look underneath, inside.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were just inside the coach. We were observing access to the area where we have to run the bypass line for the RV residential flush. That said, the fireplace is right about in this region, right here. We know through the underbelly storage, we have access. The toilet is right in this region, so we have access there. We verified we have 2 feet on the interior from the floor, subfloor to the toilet. Now we've got this region to work with. Our next step, we have to drop the underbelly protective coating, the skin, underbelly skin, the cover, and then we're going to observe. We know roughly where we need to be. We're going to open that up and we're going to investigate and optically observe, is there plumbing, is there sometimes you got propane lines, you got electric lines. We have to see where is a clear spot that we're going to be able to drop that down and tie into the main pipe out. In this case, it's an interesting application. Here we may have to, and it's not going to be that big of a deal, we may have to move this connection point. If you look at where that hanger is, we've got about 4 inch of pipe. We're going to take a Sawzall if we have to. We cut down the center of that 4 inch of exposed pipe. That leaves us 2 inches on each side for a Fernco connection. And we're going to cut in our sanitation T. We're literally going to remove these hangers, cut this gray. This is a gray tank drain, 1.5 inch diameter. We're going to cut that, reduce it, put a 1.5 inch diameter Fernco once we figure out where we need to be. So we're literally going to just move this whole connection point over about 10 inches. And then we're going to come through the bottom of the subfloor, through the underbelly skin, and cut our sanitation T in between the in between the exit point fitting and that 90-degree elbow you see there.
All right, so the first thing we gotta do to access underneath the toilet is to move all this stuff out of the way. I have a water filtration system and a water softener here too that's in the way. This access panel was already here, we just took the cover off, but you can clearly see underneath where the toilet is, and that'll show you where the pipes are going.
So, when it comes to where we will install the valve, typically we want to get the RV residential flush bypass valve as close to the toilet as possible. That gives us more room to work with from the valve to the black tank and for the bypass line. That said, you will find many RVs will have a 45-degree elbow coming off of the toilet. There typically isn't enough room to cut the pipe and have enough left to glue into the valve. So for this application, in this RV, we are going to put a new toilet flange in. And I find that happens more times than not. Not a big deal. We're gonna get a new toilet flange. We're gonna run a straight length of pipe, as short as we can keep it, keeping that valve as high as possible, giving us more room to work with.
All right, so that white wall there, that is directly behind the fireplace. And there's an access point here that's already cut out, but I think we're gonna have to wind up cutting out another access point behind the fireplace there, no big deal.
Yeah.
Explain to the people that are not plumbers exactly what we're seeing here, because we got a small pipe on the right side, see that?
Let me see that.
See the small black pipe?
Oh yeah, that's the, oh, that's got an elbow on it. Oh, so they're probably all setting.
Is that the vent?
That's the vent, that's
Okay.
probably going up to the roof.
Okay, so the pipe to the right would be the vent, and then that big pipe over there is the...
Yeah, so they got that pipe running straight down to the black tank.
Right.
And that 45 helps us in that case because it's offsetting it from the center of the toilet.
Right.
Which is what we need.
Oh, right, okay.
To get to it.
Yeah, yeah.
If it was right under it,
Yeah.
picture, we can still do it. You're gonna come off at 245, so you're gonna
you need more room.
You're almost gonna come straight under the valve, which you can do.
Right.
It's amazing how forgiving, again, when you get those 245s on there and start spinning them around, it's amazing. You can get to anything.
All right.
All right. So I think the first thing we're going to have to do is take these brake lines loose from the panels themselves. Give a little bit of slack on them. You don't want to pull on them too hard, so that way you don't break anything. Get as much slack in this area that we can to be safe. Yeah, that should be enough slack. Try taking all these screws out to drop the underbelly. That's all right.
That's why you bring in the pros.
Yeah, man.
Front one down a little bit. Get it to bow. Can work one side out.
It's hitting that shackle.
Yeah.
That's what it's hitting. Is it clear to pull out this way? Oh, you still gotta get around that brake line now.
I think that's about as far back as that thing's going.
I mean, that probably gives us enough to see. So this is just thermofoil. So, you know, you've got your underbelly skin. It's either gonna be thermoform plastic or coroplast, basically corrugated plastic, which is a little more flexible. This is rigid, and that's why they do it. They thermoform the shape so it gives it form, structure. But it works against you when you're trying to do what we're doing, because now we can't really bend this so much because this is stiffening it. But above that, whether it's coroplast or thermoform plastic, you've got this layer of thermofoil, and we're going to try to, as neatly as we can, cut where we need to gain access, and then we can aluminum foil tape it.
Should be a big enough gap, right?
Yeah, I think that's plenty. You need to just fold it down, flap it down.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Oh yeah, I got you doing it that way.
Do all RVs have this insulation?
Yeah, they all do. Most fifth wheels.
Most of them do, yeah.
Multi, if they're 3-season or 4-season, they call them now. And you got your heated underbelly and your tank pads, heater pads on your tanks. Do we see that pipe? It should be up to the right.
Right here.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, we might have to push that. Do our, well, we have to see. Like the bottom section with the sanitation tee will probably be its own glued assembly. And once we know what we need to do there, we pre-glue it, push it up, slide the fern cones will be pushed over to the right and to the left. We push our cut in, slip the fern cones over, leave them loose so we can rotate it. And then up top, we can do that glue joint for the bypass run on the top side of what we're doing down here. We'll have to see. So now we need to see where that fireplace is, where we can cut through the floor. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to remove the electric fireplace to investigate our work area. And now we're trying to determine where our drop is going to go to get into that with our 3-inch bypass pipe down to the primary drain pipe out.
We're gonna probably cut this part out, or you know, and I think we can come. I think the beam is literally under this wall. Okay, I think the beam is right here. So I think we need to come out and down into this. We might have to cut some stuff away down here. You know what I mean, to clear the beam.
Yeah.
The main pipe is about right here, about 1.5 to 2 feet back.
Right.
That access hole that we cut is right here.
So if we use a
Now what?
nice 4-inch hole saw, because we really need to get this.
Yeah. Well,
We need to be out here.
We're gonna be cutting a big square there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, the new holes. Oh, awesome. Boy, that went through quick.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, the whole time I'm always thinking of the end game. It's so nice when you sit on that toilet and flush it and never have to touch your BlackTank again. It is amazing. I'm telling you, it's a whole new, I never minded it when I did it because I embraced the RV lifestyle. But once I didn't have to do it anymore, RVing is a whole different ballgame. When you just use your toilet like any other home. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, this we're all going to cut in once we get that valve in there. But that has to, if you want to turn that has to turn to this.
It could be anywhere.
Like that, see that?
Yeah. Perfect.
And we want to position that right to here, so just one shot.
And it can be.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
See how I got this fitting on here? This 45 is going to shoot to that. I mean, it looks like you can see them going right to each other.
Yeah, there's right there.
And we can do this. In this case, we'll do this first. We'll get this all cut in.
All right.
And I
guess we can cut up. I mean, I just hate it. If we go too far, man, we hit your water lines. That just sucks.
We can slide those out of the way.
Huh? They slide? They slide over? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Also, because we got to cut, we got to make 2 cuts. That needs to go there. So we're going to do 1 cut here, 1 cut here. We'll have to peel this back a little bit more, no biggie. And then this hose, I mean, we could, no, I can't measure because the straight cut's not going to do. I mean, I can always, we're going to shorten it. So I actually could cut that now and see what that looks like.
I'm thinking you can too.
Measure it.
What are you going to do? Just shorten it, right? Oh, no, I don't think so, right?
Awesome. And what's great about this is we don't even have to, normally, everyone I've done, we had to come through here. Through the underbelly skin.
Right.
And tie in down here, because
Right.
usually there's more pipe exposed down here.
This is all going to be hidden.
And we don't even have to mess with your gray now. All we have to do is do our removal there.
Why would you mess with the gray anyway?
Well, we were talking about if we had to move this before.
Ah.
We could have cut. We could have cut this here.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, we don't have to do that now. So this is great.
Yeah, so I am literally on top of the underbelly in the rig here. Hard to see. Yeah, right here is the black tank. That's the straps holding the black tank on. This is a beam going across. So the black tank is strapped to there, and then we're coming down from under the fireplace down to here, and we're tying into the line that comes out of the gray and the blacks and goes straight to the hookup outside. All right, so if you happen to have one of these rigs at Riverstone 42 FSKG, when you pull the black tank, it's actually pulling a cable from the black tank pull. And if you ever wondered where that valve is, it's actually on the underside, under the underbelly. It wraps all the way around the black tank and it goes way up here, right next to the black tank. There it is, right there. So that's probably, man, I don't know, maybe a 6, 8 foot run of cable that goes to that valve right there that you can't get to unless you pull the whole underbelly off, by the way. And those things don't ever seal like completely. But in this case, we're gonna have that open all the time because we're just gonna bypass the black tank and we need to use that for a ventilation. That's gonna be our air duct. So there you go. If you ever have a problem with that valve, you gotta pull the cover off. And that's where it is. All right, so we're still under the underbelly. Something else I learned, if you own a Riverstone, so they have this hard plastic that's underneath the underbelly. Then under that, above that, is this liner here, this silver liner. Then you have an, installation, which is pretty cool. And then above that is an extra liner. You got your liner here. So this is under your floor, and then you have more installation on top of that. So this thing is really insulated well. It's double insulation, and it's sealed up, and that explains why the floor doesn't get cold in the wintertime. All right, what we got here, it's all hooked up. It's dry fit, in place. Right up to the toilet, we use a Furco in the middle. It gave us a little play, but everything fits perfectly under here.
So now we're laying out the installation position of the valve. This is the pipe pre-existing to the BlackTank. We have to cut this. We have to bring the valve up under the toilet. We're going to put a piece of pipe on the top of this valve, and that's going to glue into the toilet flange. So you can see, once you put the 245 street elbows, which is what we're going to come off of each exit port of the valve with 245 street elbows. This allows you to rotate pretty much any way you need to go to get you in the right direction. So if you look at what we've got here now, this is about where we want to be. And we're going to come down and interface with this pipe.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the toilet is right there, right above at the top.
Right above it.
And we're 2 feet down, it goes down into the BlackTank. That's the BlackTank port there. So we're going to take one side of this valve and go straight to the BlackTank.
Yes.
And then the other side will come down.
And that's our
into this
entry point to get our bypass line
right
down to the main tube out. Okay, so now we're going to prepare the motor for installation. So the valve comes preset with the manual knob. So now we need to convert it for use with the motor. So we're going to put the motor drive into the valve. And we also have to check that we have 120 degrees proper rotation in the valve to make sure the valve is actuating to the right position. These come preset from the factory, but occasionally we need to make some adjustments to make sure that it's functioning to the exact degree we want. So we will start by using an Allen key to remove the dummy cover from the valve, which is the port that we're going to plug our power into. So we're going to use an Allen wrench to start, and that is a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. The cover comes off. We take our cord set, and we're going to position that, line it up, push it on. That has its own screw. So now we need a flathead screwdriver, and we're going to tighten that.
Is that for the power and the remote?
Yeah,
switch?
So this is how power gets to the actuator.
Yeah.
This end is going to be wired to the switch, and for the switch, two leads are going to come from this cord set, and 2 leads are going to go to the switch wire. So the switch will have 2 leads to the motor, 2 leads to power. So in a retrofit application such as today, we are now going to test we believe we have a 12 volt circuit that we can tap into. So we're going to use our multimeter and make sure that it's constant on 12 volt. So we're going to do that now because, again, we have to test the motor to make sure, and we're going to mount the motor to the drive, and we'll do that now. From the valve flange, and we're going to remove the manual knob and put in the drive gear. And we want to make sure, it's important to position the valve to the 2, because the motor comes, so when you look at the motor, 0 is number 2. You can see there's 90, we're at 120. So you look at this yellow line, that tells you where, so the motor is going to come either open or closed. Closed is 0, 120 is open. So that tells us when we put it on this valve, since we're here at 120, we need to put the valve at 120, which is 1. If this motor was at 0, we put the valve at 2. But since we're at 120, we got to put the valve at 1, and that's important because you won't be able to get the motor on if this isn't, before we disassemble this, we don't want to interrupt the valve. We want to leave it just as it is, and we want to position it to the same position that the motor is in. Okay, so now we're going to remove these screws, and always use a hand-driven screwdriver. If you put a power driver to this, you could strip these screws, because the whole thing is plastic. It's strong ABS plastic, but let's face it, when you put a power tool to it, just like with wood, you can strip it, run the risk of stripping it. And we did not skimp on anything. We could have got away with 3 screws if we wanted to, but we put double the amount. We don't want any issues with this valve. So it's got double the screws required.
I'll get you to pull this off. I want to see that. Tilt it towards me. There you go.
Now we're going to pull the cover plate off. We're going to pull this drive knob off. And if you notice,
wow,
this manual drive knob has the stops built into it. It is what interfaces with the valve and the cover plate to give you your stop between ports 1 and 2, bypass and BlackTank. You can see with the motor drive, we want the motor to do the stop. This motor's got 270 foot-pound of torque. If the stop was on the valve and that motor isn't set right, something's going to break with 270 foot-pounds of torque. So now you can notice with the motor, we remove the stops. The mechanical stops are gone because the motor is doing the stopping and starting. So now we're going to take this, and you want to take this point. There's a little point on that, a marker on this drive gear. You want to position that. This is the in. You want to position that to where we had it set to the 1. So we're going to put it in the 1 position. Make sure this spring doesn't go. You know, this is part of what creates the tension for the sealing aspect of this valve. It's a conical sealing surface. So we put our marker at the 1, which is where we had the manual knob set. This has a mechanical registration point. That pin goes in, locks into the hole. That's how you know you're in the right spot. Okay, so you can't mess it up. Helps you line the holes. And the motor plate, where I put this in, I'm going to put the 2 bottom screws in, because we need to make room for the motor mount. Typically, we would tighten these screws the same way you would with a wheel hub. You'd start at one side and go opposite hand. That's just the right way to tighten the hub. In this case, though, we can't do that because we're going to put the motor mount. And all these have to do is be snug. You don't want to over-tighten these. Just snug them up. You don't want to strip it out. Okay, so now this is going to go to the motor. So now we're going to mount the motor mounting plate to the motor. Keep in mind, this is our early production unit. We have since evolved as we engineered our gray tank bypass system that'll be available soon. We've decided to go with the motor mount interfacing with these lugs. We're worried about people over torquing these screws. So this plate functions fine. Anybody that has this plate today, it's fine, it's not an issue. Moving forward, for the longevity of the product, we believe mounting to the lugs of the valve body are going to ultimately be better than the cover.
With nuts and bolts, because
with nuts and bolts, yeah.
There's no threads here. You're just gonna bolt it to it.
I'm in go mode now.
Yeah, we gotta get moving. I got a hot tub to get into. We're losing precious sun.
Now the motor mount is installed to the valve motor. We're going to take the motor to the valve, like so. We've already got the valve positioned to match the motor at 120 degrees, which is position 2 on the valve. We're going to push it to the valve. We've already pre-installed the 2 lower screws earlier. Now we're going to install we're installing the original screws back into the valve faceplate.
And just snug.
And we don't want to over tighten them, and we don't want to strip them out. You use a handheld screwdriver, no cordless here. Just going to snug it up. These screws have a thread cutting feature to them, so they don't back out. So all we have to do is tightly snug them. Nothing more.
So you don't need a torque wrench, you're just snugging it.
Just snug it. And you'll see the flange doesn't make full the mounting feet of the motor mount are floating a little above the valve faceplate. That's fine. It's going to push on the spring. There's a spring inside that you saw earlier. That's what puts friction on the seating surface of the valve. So it's going to push on that spring. There we go.
Yeah.
Now it's ready to go.
Awesome.
Okay, so now we're preparing the motor to connect 12 volt to it so we can test it. We have to test the motor. And the reason why we're going to test the motor, we want to make sure that this position is exactly where it's supposed to be. So when the valve is pointing at position 2, we can observe that the gate is exactly where it needs to be. And when the valve likewise turns to position 1, it's also right where it needs to be. We want to make sure of that. And it's not a big deal. If it needs to be adjusted, we could adjust it. We just simply remove this cover, and there's a way we do that. That will be available from the website, and also, all right, so now we need to get inside. I think there's a line we can use. We need to put the multimeter on it.
If you wanted to just test 12 volt, I can grab my battery off.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you have that? Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. It's working.
Oh, there it goes.
Now this should be, oh, that looks good. Perfect. That's good.
You can see.
Let's see the other way. So the motor company says, so this switch, just so you understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
When you put this switch at the midpoint, there's no energy. There's no power going to the motor. When you turn it, like right now, this is at 0. Now we're gonna go the other way. Because it'll drain your battery, you know what I mean? Little by little, it's just that little LED will be pulling off your battery if you're gonna store it for long periods of time.
Wow.
So now we have, and you can get 12 volts to this. You know, we're wiring. We need to just get 12 volts to the motor to test the motor to make sure that the setting is correct, because the setting's adjustable. You can adjust this valve from 90 to 180. We need it at 120. So we've got power to it. Right now we're at position 2, and we can look and see that our diverter gate is sitting right where it should be. So that's good. Now we're going to test port 1. We're going to hit our switch. And now we look at the open port. Looks good. Looks just like the other one, pretty much. Same position.
Gold.
So now we are about to begin our first glue joint. So we always start from the top and work our way down. So we're going to glue this pipe in the new toilet flange for the new toilet. We're going to screw that into the floor once this is glued. Then we're going to dry fit our valve, dry fit our fittings. And again, we're measuring 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. We do not want to make a mistake when we glue these. Once you glue, there's no turning back. It is welded. So that said, this one is low risk, but you can see how some of these here, we were laying out already. We started to mark their positions. We're using a silver Sharpie, works well on the black ABS. You can use white paint pen, whatever is visible to set your markings. Today we're going to use, you can use either the specific black ABS glue. We're doing all ABS except for the toilet flange, that's PVC. But we're using the Oatly all-purpose cement. It works for PVC, CPVC, and ABS. So this works pretty much universally, which is a great way to go. The black ABS glue is fine. Either way. We've never had an issue in the aftermarket installations, upgrades. If you have to use some PVC, that's never been an issue. So now we've used the cleaner to clean the pipe, the Oatly clear cleaner. And now we're applying the multi-purpose cement to both parts.
And when you push it in, always give it a little twist. And hold it in there.
Because the joint will try to push out. So you want to hold it for about 15 to 30 seconds.
So do you have the
The
screw?
RV. We do.
Okay.
You do have to screw this because when we start pushing, when I glue that valve,
All right.
I got to push it on. There's no way around it.
Okay. So what about
So you
those
can use the
locking
same holes.
You know, like,
No, I can't use the same holes.
You want those?
And this one, it really doesn't matter. The wax, this is just gonna.
Oh, that's
The
right.
toilet's
'cause
just gonna push
yeah,
on.
you're not using those locks.
Yeah.
So the toilet that we're installing is you just silicone it down.
Yeah.
We're not actually tying into this flange.
No.
You're just doing two of them.
No, we'll put more. Put more too.
I mean, you may need to twist that later. You might want to, you know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So we can twist it out. That's a good point.
Yeah.
If we want to, we can.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just
No, I
don't
like that.
put a
Yeah,
whole
you're
bunch
right.
of
You're
holes
right.
in it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There it is. We got to connect that to that.
That's
right.
where we've got
It's
to
right
go.
there, dude.
Okay, so that's gonna go like that.
Can you turn it? Gotta spin it. Oh my God, it's so close. Well, you gotta put a,
That's not close enough.
to what? To the pipe? Why don't you just remove this one and use just this one? You gotta get the Franco on there, right? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Wow.
Yeah. It's even less.
Yeah.
Less-
I mean, the flexibility to Fernco may allow that to.
Right.
Let's see.
Don't you want the Franco in there right now?
It's right
And
there.
then, yeah, put the screws where you want them
Let's see what
so you
this.
can actually get to them.
See what this does.
That pipe's probably too long.
Wow, dude, that can work.
Yeah.
That's right there.
Yeah.
No, this is fine. That's not too long.
You think so? All right.
Yeah.
Well, look where this is, though. I'm shooting this way right now.
I know, but we might not have a choice. We have to make it work. Let me see. See what this does. See, this is where a little socket wrench is going to be good because same we don't have a socket set. You got a hand driver.
I think I do. Yeah.
Little socket driver.
I think I do. Hold on. All right. It's loose. Just make sure you got it where you can get to the screws. You can use this guy.
I want to get this on just a little bit. Now hold that there. Now I want to go over here. Let's see what we got to do.
Now we're going to take a moment to talk about the toilet that we're installing today. This toilet can be found on our website. We have several toilets that we recommend that we've tested and used and are approved for RV residential flush. If you go to easyrvsolutions.com, you'll find it there. But now we're just going to talk about some of the requirements. This is a very special toilet. It's a popular one in the residential venue because it fits nicely in RVs. It's only 21 inches from tip to tail. And that's the only one we've ever been able to find in that dimensional footprint in the residential toilet lines. So this toilet has many features, and that's why people love it. It fits nice. You have the comfort, convenience of a residential toilet. It has features like bidet and air drying, night light, heated seat, all these awesome features that people love. And why not have that in your RV? But we're going to talk about some of the requirements because people get frustrated. You know, it's a residential toilet. So one of the requirements is you must have 30 PSI. So even when you're boondocking, you can use this toilet, but and the RV freshwater systems, they do have 40 PSI pumps on them, but they don't always put out 40 PSI. So it's important to make sure your pump is putting out 40 PSI. There are pumps available for 60 and 75. It's an easy switch out. So you have to be aware of these things in a retrofit application. In OEM, they're gonna make sure they've got a water pump that gives you this pressure. So this is a test rig that we put together for today's video. We're going to discuss some of the features and again, the requirements for this toilet. It has many deluxe features, which are pretty cool. So let's get a shot of this gauge. So you can see we put a pressure gauge on this and we're at 30 PSI. Looks like it went up a little. Let's flush it. It fluctuates.
It's good.
It was right on 30.
You gotta wait till it stops.
There we go.
Yeah, we're right at 30.
So you can see the pressure gauge, we got this set at 30. When you go below 30 and just a few PSI below 30, it will not flush properly.
All right.
So this toilet has some really cool features. It has a sensor, knows when you're seated on it. None of the bidet features will work. We'll look at how that works. This is what's awesome about having a test fixture outside like this. Oh, that's warm water, nice and toasty. It has cool features like blow drying. It will air dry. Now the air dryer's on.
We'll show the remote and stuff. Yeah, you can sort of see it.
Nice, comforting warm air.
So you have controls on the side as well as a remote.
Yeah, yes, there's controls on the side. There's a handheld remote. You can also mount it to the wall. You have a side flush that you can actuate by hand. So it also has a side foot flush.
Works great.
So now we're going to demonstrate what you will see if the water pressure gets too low. So you'll know exactly what's going on. Because some people see this and then they think the toilet doesn't work. We know somebody that's done that.
Yeah.
Me.
I can vouch for that. I was there.
Okay, so now we're going to take the water pressure down below 30.
Nothing.
And it does not work.
It does not work.
It's not doing anything. But if we go a little bit more, some water will come out, but you won't get the final push flush.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all.
It's not working at all.
Well, it's trickling.
Yeah.
What do we have?
So there you go. So that's a 20.
20, and what happens is that little jet does not come on.
Yeah, the bowl flush will go,
Didn't go, yeah.
but the jet will not flush.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. So if you see that, it's a simple solution. Your water pressure's too low. So here we have a Dometic 320 RV style toilet, and we just want to demonstrate an RV style toilet in use with the RV residential flush. Again, RV style toilets work perfectly fine. There's just a couple things you have to remember, a couple requirements. Of course, when you're in boondocking mode, flushing to your black tank, you can use as little water as possible to make your freshwater tank last as long as possible. But once you are connected and you're at an RV site, campsite with full hookups with a sewer connection, and you're running an RV residential flush mode, now when we flush, before we go, just like a residential toilet at home, you want to get about 1/3 to half of a tank of water. And then now you use it and you flush just like you would with a residential toilet. More water is always better. And it's even a good idea after you are finished to just give it another flush, just to make sure, just flush out your line. It just keeps everything cleaner. Why not? It's not necessary, but after number one, it's definitely not necessary. But after number two, maybe you want to do that just to keep everything clean, keep your trap nice and clean. If you're using the RV snap trap, which we recommend that you do, that allows you to leave your graze open without worry. And with all of these situations, with the toilet, in regard to the toilet, if you're in residential RV residential flush mode for long periods of time, you always want to flush that black tank out periodically. We recommend every quarter, so that's every 3 months. Close your black tank, because in RV flush mode, we're leaving our black tank open because we need the venting. Your black tank is vented to the roof of the RV, and we need that venting to flush the toilet. one of the great benefits of using the bypass system is it preserves the life of your BlackTank system, meaning your gate valves, all the pushing and pulling that happens when you only have the option of your BlackTank, it wears those cables out. Everybody knows it. Okay, so those valves, those gate valves start to not seal all the way. I've seen many RVs, most that we are doing installs and observing, and I've been full-timing, I remember in my 7th year, in our 7th year, and most people can testify to this. You close all your valves, you hook up, you go to another campsite. When you go to hook up, you take that sewer cap off if you don't have a gate valve at the end of the run. And we recommend, and if you're using our product, you have to put a gate valve at the end of the run. Because if you accidentally think that you are in BlackTank setting of the valve, when really you're in residential setting, you start flushing this toilet and you got your cap on. You're gonna fill that bypass pipe up, and then you're gonna realize the toilet won't flush anymore once that's full, and you're gonna say, oh no, what happened? Then you're gonna look and see, oh no, I was really in residential flush mode. I thought I was in BlackTank mode. Not a big deal if that happens. You just switch the valve to BlackTank mode and use it as you normally would, flushing to your BlackTank. The problem will be, and it's fine because you would have had to hook up at some point to drain your BlackTank. So you know you're gonna have to do that. The problem is if you don't have a gate valve at the connection point of your RV to your sewer hose, when you go to take that cap off, you know what's gonna happen. I mean, you've got a 3-inch pipe, and depending on how long that bypass tube is, it could be possibly 5 gallons of bad water coming out when you take that cap off and you're not stopping it. So we really, we say you must have a gate valve at your RV sewer connection point if you're going to use this product, because it's just a good safety. And you should have it anyway, even if you're just using your BlackTank. And that's the point I was trying to get to. The gate valves lose efficiency over time. Okay, our RV, when we bought it new, the gate valves didn't seal all the way. And I knew that because when I would do my BlackTank flush, I'd see water trickling out. So I knew that gate valve wasn't fully closed. And when we would travel, most people testify to this. We didn't have a gate valve the first couple of years at our connection point. So we would travel, we're up and down the East Coast, and every time I would go to set up camp, I take that cap off and I could have had, it could be a cup of water, it could be a quart of water coming out, and it's nasty. So then we realized, we just learned the things you learn as you RV, to put, we got a Valterra slip-on, quick connect gate valve. So at the very least, you should have that. With our product, the OEs, they're gonna put a glue-on valve. We recommend put a glue-on valve. It's easy. You cut the ABS pipe and you get an ABS slip-on gate valve. Make sure that it's, pointing up. You don't want it down because then you're gonna fill the mechanism. When you glue it, make sure it's up at least 5 degrees.
Manipulate it. Alright. So what are you trying to turn it still?
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm good.
You're good on that side?
Side's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the installation of our residential toilet is complete. We had to do a couple of prerequisite modifications to achieve this. One is we had to add an outlet for the plug for the toilet. We mounted, Jeff and Jen decided they wanted their RV residential flush switch mounted in the bathroom. So we mounted that into the wall. We had access to that from behind the fireplace. Every RV is a little bit different in the amount of access you have, but that was the prerequisite modifications we did for this installation.
And that was easy.
Beautiful toilet. Has a night light, has a heated seat, it talks to you when you sit down. Let's give a victory flush. And that completes the installation of the RV residential flush system with the snap trap and a residential flushing toilet.
You won't believe where I'm sitting right now. This is Jeff at Full Hookup signing off. This is the first one. It's the first time. Slowly happening. Jen!
What?
Maybe you should do this.
Stop.
You sure? Jen?
Now, please stop talking to me. You're cursing me out. Stop.
I can't do it. I don't think I can do it on camera.
Turn the camera off.
I gotta say, it does clean your ass pretty well. All right, this is Jeff from Full Hookups. Installation complete. See you next time. I'm gonna end the video like this, Jen. You don't wanna know. This is Jeff from Full Hookups. Please subscribe and share this video. Till next time, bye-bye. I don't think I can do it. It's too much pressure. All right.